right.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. And just so you may notice, the session is being recorded. So if you're not comfortable being on camera, that's fine. You can keep your camera off, but please use the chat. The session is going to be interactive and engaging. So once again, thank you for joining the session. So I'm going to share my screen and get right into the presentation. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about goal planning strategies for your career. So I know some of you that are on here are either junior or you're about to enter in your first career, or you're a student and working, or some of you, I know that parents are supposed to be on this call as well. And so I have a little bit of tips around goal planning strategies that will be helpful for everyone, regardless of what stage of your career you are in. So just a little bit about my background. To those of you who know me, welcome. It's great to see you here. And so I have worn many hats. I still wear a lot of hats, and I have an extensive background. I really started working from I was 13 years old, to be honest. My first job was delivering newspapers. But today I am an entrepreneur, author, and speaker. I'm also a public policy professional. So my master's is in public policy administration law. I've worked for three major sectors: nonprofit, private, and public. I was also a college instructor at a continuing education college that I actually graduated from, Seneca College. I worked as a federal policy intern in Washington, D.C. I served as a director for a municipal health board, and I'm a graduate of York University as well as Seneca College. But one of the things that I've gained so much tremendous skills from, which is really important for those of you who are trying to expand your career or trying to understand how do I create the right type of goals for my career, how could I be laser focused, is being open to giving back, to being involved in the community. So from a very young age, I've got well involved in my community. There were times when I was working two jobs and still volunteering, one job and volunteering at several places. But there's skills that I've developed that I call transferable skills. And these are essential for you to stand out in your career and do well. So it's one thing to have a degree, but millions of people have a degree. How are you going to stand out from those people who only have a degree and very little work experience? They haven't done things to develop leadership experience. So a lot of my leadership experience and soft skills and different skills have been developed through my role that I've taken on. I've volunteered for various fundraisers. I was even a floor director for a TV station, a scholarship fund director when I was in my 20s. I recently served as a mentor for Ryerson University, and I'm a career advisor for the Pride Foundation, who's hosting today's session. And I'm also the chapter president for Blacks in Technology Foundation, which I will speak a little bit about later. So I want to share this quote with you. I like to start with quotes by John L. Beckley. Most people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. And goal planning is essential for success, right? So I'm going to dive right into 6 ways that you can get started. So tip number 1, and feel free to make notes, but the session is being recorded so you can watch the replay. Conduct a SWOT analysis of your skills. We hear about SWOT analysis for business, which is important, but I'm going to talk about a way that you should do it for your skills. Select a goal planning method. Make a targeted list of your goals. Organize your goals. Prioritize your goals and set timelines. So I'm going to go through each of these one by one. So here's a visual, and all my visuals are either from Canva, so I have the rights to use them, or through Microsoft stock images. And so you may have heard of the SWOT analysis. It's basically an acronym. So S for strengths, W for weakness, O for opportunity, and T for threats. And so when we think about doing a SWOT analysis for your career, you want to start with making a list of your strongest skills. So sometimes we just don't know what we are good at. And people may say you're good at certain things, but are you documenting your strengths, right? Do you know what your weaknesses are? Where are some areas where you need to make improvement? And then are you someone that looks for opportunities, right? Are you trying to find ways to improve your skill? How are you going about finding those ways? I'm one of those people who really believe in creating your own opportunities. But lastly, we have to think about threats. There's sometimes barriers that make it difficult for us to identify the right type of opportunities to develop the skills. So we may need to get educational training to upgrade our skills. That financial resources could be a barrier, right? Or sometimes there's certain issues within a system where there's systemic barriers, and maybe your gender or your race are some of the barriers. Think about some ways you can put the right supports and tools in place in order to minimize these threats. So the SWOT analysis is definitely a good tool. So before I continue, I like to take a bit of a pause just to find out if anyone has any questions or comments. And
No,
feel
that's
free to
definitely
use the
good.
comments. Okay, hey, Colin, feel free to
Hey,
use the comments if you're not comfortable going on. I think I see something popping in the chat. Okay, all good. All right, so if it's all good, I'm going to keep it moving. All right. So I want to talk about goal planning methods. Let me just minimize my screen because it sometimes gets in the way here. So in terms of goal planning methods, there are so many goal planning methods. From the time I was a student, I don't know if any of you have heard of mind mapping. Feel free to go in the chat and put yes, no, yes, no. I just want to have an idea of how many people have heard of mind mapping. It's just another form of brainstorming. It's kind of a fancy brainstorming. So I see some yeses, I see some nos. So this is great. Yeah, and make Google and YouTube your best friend, because there's so many videos on like how to do mind mapping. What is mind mapping? It's essentially a way to brainstorm your thoughts. You know, you can do it virtually. There's all these like different tools like Mural, and the list goes on, where you can do a digital version or just old-fashioned pen and paper, where it's an organized, colorful diagram showing tasks, words, and concepts. Items ranged around a central concept, and I will show you a visual of what that looks like. Includes key images, because as you know, we memorize things better when it's in an image versus a word. And as they say, a picture truly does tell 1,000 words. It's easier to remember a list of items or items that are in this visual graph, right? And it's good for simplifying tasks. Journaling is also another good way to kind of start planning your goals. I literally have journal books for different types of career goals. So, you know, we should be having our financial goals. We should be having goals for your business if you're an entrepreneur, or just your own professional development goals. So having like a journal book that's really organized helps your goals to be tangible, because when you write it down, it also helps you to organize your priorities, and it keeps your goals in one place. And then the SMART goals, right? And how many people have heard of the SMART acronym? Yes or no? And I do have a visual that I'll show for that in case you haven't. So who knows about SMART goals? Just yes or no if you've heard about it. It's really popular. Okay, I see yeses coming in. This is awesome. Right, so this helps you work with clear intention, and it's basically a way for you to set concrete targets that you plan to achieve over a certain period. It helps you to eliminate unnecessary tasks, because sometimes we want to do 10,000 things, our mind's all over the place. And it's a great way to measure your success. It's also a framework to make your goals practical, right? And that's where we get into the realistic part of the SMART acronym. And then it'll increase your chances of reaching your goal. And for all of these strategies, if you have a method of how to like build your plan or execute your plan, your chances of achieving it will definitely be higher. Okay. All right, so this is what mind mapping looks like, and this is a very simple version of it. I've seen mind maps that had lines all over the place, but this is just one for marketing. Obviously, in this image, you can see they're thinking about, okay, I need to have a sales strategy, I need to have a business plan, networking. If you notice a handshake, I need to target people. And again, this can be interpreted in different ways, but this is the idea of what a mind map looks like. The SMART goal acronym essentially stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So I do have a video, and before I play this video, which is a cool video that is a part of Grow with Google. They have a series of career development topics. So I'm gonna have to, I think, share my sound. Let's see here, 1 second. All right, so once I share my sound, you should be able to hear the video. And if put okay in the chat, just so I can know if you heard that sound that just played. Oh, sorry. Every time I press something, it freezes. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Joy M. Hutton, a Grow with Google digital coach. Today, we're going to talk about why defining a career vision is important, helpful ways to approach your career goals, and how to begin making a plan to achieve your goals. Having a vision, goals, and a plan are important elements for helping you succeed and advance in your career. Your vision is the outcome you're working towards, and it's rooted in what you're most passionate about. Your goals are the steps that contribute to you attaining the end result of that career vision. Your plan is how you will achieve those goals. You need to know what you are aiming for. Start by asking yourself what your values and passions are. What do you care most deeply about? What lights you up most when you think about it? Once you have a clear idea of these, you can find the common links between your passions and values. Understanding this will guide you in getting a clearer picture of your vision. Many people set their career vision around a future job title rather than a vision-driven outcome, which can sometimes be a mistake. If your vision is all about a specific title, such as be CEO of my current company, that leaves you vulnerable to external factors like a company relocating or you changing companies or careers, which could derail your path towards your vision. So instead, focus on the details of the destination. For example, I want to be in a position of influence, leading a department, and have a direct report line to the heads of the company to ensure that I have influence over key decisions and people. So you have thought of your career vision. Now it's time to think about the goals you'll need to achieve to realize that vision. A key step in identifying your goals is thinking about what skills you already have and what skills you might need to gain. Once you do that, you can then set goals which will help you attain those skills. Take time to think about and write down the skills you believe you have right now and what you need to gain. When it comes to defining and setting your goals, it's important to choose goals that are SMART, aka specific. It describes the exact goal you want to achieve, measurable, so you know exactly when you've reached your goal, actionable, a goal you can actually achieve and do something about, relevant. In this case, relevant means the goal gets you closer to achieving your career goals. Time-bound. You need to achieve your goal by a specific date. You can write them down in your calendar. Now it's time to create a clear and simple outline of your vision and goals. First, you need to put pen to paper. It is easy for goals to remain vague if we never write them down. Following these 3 steps will help you structure a clear career vision statement. Start with your vision. For example, I want to work in the healthcare industry for a company where I can provide people with the care they need. Then describe how you are going to get there, your goals. For example, I will achieve this by taking 2 relevant courses online this year and by reaching out to at least 3 people I already know within the industry within the next 3 weeks. Finally, create short-term milestones. Short-term milestones are extremely important for creating momentum for your plans. Having a long-term vision and bigger goals is great, but you need to have milestones that you can check off every week, if not every day. For example, this week I will create a spreadsheet of relevant courses I need to take, including how much they cost and what skills I will learn from them. Everyone likes to check off boxes on a to-do list. I know I do. And short-term milestones lets you do that for your career. Understanding your own values, vision, and goals is a continuous process. So, what now? Practice and repeat. Share your vision statements with family, friends, colleagues, and mentors. Get feedback from them on whether they feel it's clear and focused. Use this process to continue to refine your vision statement. Once you feel confident in your vision statement, it's time to share it with people who can support you in reaching that career goal. This will help you gain the support you need. Remember, people don't know how to help you if they don't know what your goal is. Once you have a clear vision and goals, share them with people.
All right. So any questions about what was shared before I continue on? And feel free to use the chat. Did you find the video useful? Is there something you learned that you didn't know before? And feel free to use the chat if you have questions, comments, helpful, even if you can put that in the chat. Okay, very informative, super helpful. Awesome. And there will be links that I will include in the resource page. So this is great. All right, so moving along, I do have an activity because I think activities are cool. So I'm going to see if I could share without closing my screen. No, I have to close my screen. Okay, so I got to do a stop share and a reshare. One moment. So I'm going to put a link in the chat. And the question is going to be goal planning. How can a clear vision help you achieve your goals? So you heard in the video about the importance of having a vision, but I want to hear from each of you. Why is it important to have a vision? So I'm going to put this in the chat. So just click on the link, and then when I share the screen, everybody will see their answer. So this activity is pretty cool. And just to note, it's anonymous. So no one's going to know who's typing what. And then I'm going to share the screen so that everybody could see the answers. So this is Padlet. Padlet's a pretty cool thing. So does everyone should have the link. So just click the link that I put in the chat. It will bring you to what's on my screen right now and just start typing. So the way it works, you'll see a little plus, my icon's by the plus right now, circling it, a pink plus sign. Click it and I will type the first one so that you can see. So having a clear vision gives me direction for planning my goals. Okay, so I saw somebody else put that. All right, and so one of the things we could do with this activity, if we see something we like, straight path to knowing the direction you want to go towards, that's good. We can like it. So we can like each other's stuff. We could add a comment. So I'll give everyone just a few moments to add their comments. Helps write clear and attainable small goals and milestones. Okay, that's great. And then, like I said, we can like each other's comments as well, just by hitting the like icon on the screen. Gives me inspiration. Yes, vision is great for inspiration. And don't be shy, just, feel free to participate. Helps me stay focused. Yes, it's very easy to lose focus. That's a good one. Helps you to first define your goals. Exactly, because sometimes we're not sure what our goals should be. Clarity on what to focus on. Yes, that's a good one too. So remember, you can also like comments as well. I see 4 people like gives me inspiration, 3 like straight path to knowing the direction. This is great. This is awesome. Anyone else? There's quite a few of you here. If you can see it, you can achieve it. Yes, writing down your goals, writing out your vision is important. All right, anyone else want to do one last comment before I go back to the presentation? Okay, well, thanks for completing that exercise. I'm going to keep it moving, and then we have one more exercise like that coming up in a few slides. All right, so it's very important to make a targeted list. And so some tips for those of you who are students, whether you're graduate students, doesn't matter even if you're in high school, you want to be specific about the kind of job you want to do and which sector. So sometimes people just want to do a job, but have you narrowed down the sector that you want to work in? Do you want to work in the public sector, the private sector, the nonprofit sector, or even get more specific, like you want to do the finance sector only or the entertainment sector? Make a list of the credentials and skills that's required for this goal, right? Do you need college? Do you need certification? Do you need university? Is an internship going to suffice? And it's always about working backwards. So think about the end in mind and then work backward and make a list of what you need to do to achieve this goal, right? So do you need to, save up some money to pay for stuff, work another job just to help you save for the credentials that you might need? Do you need to volunteer to get some skills? Because sometimes you may have a resume that doesn't have enough examples to show that you have experience. And so if someone won't hire you, consider the benefits of getting the skills you need to demonstrate that you can do the job through volunteering. Then you want to make a targeted, for professionals, you want to also have a targeted list for those of you who want to move up, right? So do you want to hire salary? If you want to hire salary, what are some of the things you should be doing to increase your salary? There's books you can read on this. There's videos you can watch. Do you want a more challenging role, right? There's some people that easily get bored in the job they have now. It's just not challenging enough. Do you want experience in a new sector, right? There's a lot of people transferring to the digital sector. And so there's a bunch of like key skills in the digital sector that is in high demand. They need data scientists. They need people to do UX design and understand Python. And the whole AWS certification is really up and buzzing, right? So you don't necessarily have to be even a STEM professional to work in tech. And do you want a job that gives you better work-life balance that allows you to work virtually as well as in the office? That's not as labor intensive. So take the time to research the sector you want to get in before you get there. Like I'm someone who always wanted to be in law. And as young as 19, I did everything to research the different areas of law. I volunteered for lawyers. I went to legal events. And doing that allowed me to understand the kind of lifestyle I'd have, the kind of work-life balance, hearing lawyers and meeting lawyers who work 100 hours a week, 60 hours a week. Then you get to ask yourself, is this the kind of lifestyle that I want? But then there's some other lawyers who work in-house, and in-house lawyers don't have to work 100 hours a week, right? And it depends on the a lot of factors, but typically not as long as private sector lawyers. Or do you just want to learn a new skill just for your own professional development, such as, how to be a better public speaker? And we know that public speaking is considered a power skill because to move up and to get a higher salary, typically that goes to people who can demonstrate strong skills in public speaking. So I'm going to go now to the second activity. So let me just bring that up. It's similar to the other one, but just a different question. What do you find most difficult about goal planning? So let's share this other screen here. All right. Okay, so the screen is shared and I have to put the link in the chat. All right, so just a similar process. You'll see the plus sign. I put the link in the chat. Just grab the link, click the plus sign. And the question is, what do you find most difficult about goal planning? And based on just some of the things you heard already in the presentation. Narrowing down my passions and interests. Yes, that could be very challenging, especially when you have multiple. I'm one of those people. Okay, I see a few of you are typing, so I'll give you some time. Trying to be specific enough. Okay, and again, feel free to like what you're seeing pop up on the screen. Figuring out which goals yield the best results, setting realistic timelines. Sometimes we think we can do a lot in a very little time frame. Okay, so a few of you are typing, so I'll give you the time for that. Defining a measurable goal. Okay. Committing to your plan, being disciplined. And we know discipline is a key element of success in anything, right? You got to be disciplined. Okay, I see a few more people are typing, so I'll give you some time. Maintaining the drive to achieve your goal, right? Because there's times when it can get really challenging. And this is when you have to build resilience, figuring out who I can get to help me achieve the goal or who do I have to speak with. Keeping it simple so that I can follow through. Yes, and simplicity is essential. So thank you for completing this activity. I will now to go back here. Control panels, new share. Okay, there's my presentation. I'm getting the hang of this thing. Okay, in between here, slides. Okay, so yeah, it's really important to organize your goals. Controls. Okay, so you want to organize your goals by subject. And like I said, you can start with, say, I have 3 specific goals for my career that I want to do. I want to upskill and get 1 digital skill. And these are the 2 ways I'm going to do that. So it's to get the skill and 2 things you can do to bring you closer, whether it's researching places that will provide it, whether it's interviewing a couple of people who are working in the sector, you want to go into tech or you want to go into law, really start making a list of things that are related to that subject, right? It could be for business, it could be for finance. You want to divide short-term and long-term goals. So there's some goals that will take longer to complete than others. And some of you said it's about being realistic with the timeline. We know that school can be a really long journey. So that's going to be more of a long-term goal, especially if you want to get a degree or a master's or law school or med school or whatever profession. And then there's shorter-term goals like being a better public speaker, right? That's something that you could learn to do in like a month with the right videos and going to a few workshops, even reading a few books on it, reading a few blog articles, and then organizing by small chunks. So what are some things you want to do daily? What are some things you want to do weekly, by month, and by a year? And then seasonal, right? For me personally, there's some goals that it's just my season to focus on developing what I'm doing in my music career, what I did as an author, right? I've written 2 books so far, but for me, those are season where I really focused on everything to do with being an author, going to writer's workshop, going to writer's retreat, reading books and blogs on how to be a better writer, how to put your story together, doing just as much research as I could before writing my own book because I self-published, right? What is the process for self-publishing? Asking those critical questions, but I had a season where everything I did was related to being an author. And then it's also important to set priorities, right? So we want to do 10,000 things. A lot of us are like this, but we need to prioritize our goal, right? In order of importance. What's the most important thing that we need to do now? They always say do the hardest thing first, but then think about what's really critical. So we hear a lot of people talk about work-life balance, and we don't want to keep running on empty and burning. So I'm big on trying to practice prioritizing your health, creating some goals around your health. So something as simple as drinking more water. Getting up every morning and having water is the first thing that you do, right? Having that water and then spacing it out throughout the day, right? So those could be related to your health goals. And then assess urgency, right? How urgent is a goal that you need to complete? Are you putting an age limit on? I need to have this done before I'm 30, before I'm 25. Are you almost there? Then there's some things you have to prioritize. And then scheduling time-sensitive tasks. And so once you're already working in a profession and you're getting, tasks that you need to do, and there's some things that are very time-sensitive, so you want to make sure that you do the things that have the deadline that's needed for your manager or your boss, like yesterday kind of thing. So it's being able to apply those habits you'll do for someone else to yourself, right? So sometimes it's easier for us to prioritize other people's objectives and goals than we do for ourselves. And then removing distractions. We know one of the biggest distractions is our cell phones, if you have one, social media. And so carve out time where you maybe check emails at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, like an allotted time, just to eliminate the amount of time you're checking emails instead of throughout the day, putting like limits on your phone so you're not constantly using it and checking it, not doing multiple things while you're working. So having the TV going while you're trying to work on a project. So really creating quiet places where you can make your goal list. And then setting a timeline. So we know that timelines are important, and you can have a timeline where, in the next 30 days for the month, this is what I'm going to focus on. I want to reach this, or quarterly goals, right? Yearly goals, and multiple years in terms of your timeline. So people will do what's called strategic plans in these regards, where it's 2 years, 3 years, and 5 years, and so on. And so I want to talk about 4 ways to execute, right? So I'm going to highlight again as a recap, creating the plan, because the plan is where everything starts. finding the right resources. Sometimes people can't get things done because they don't have the right resources, meaning they don't have enough human resources, financial resources, mentorship, or just the right information. And then developing accountability framework, and last, measuring your process. So in terms of a recap, I talked about, a goal planning framework. So this can include starting with your SWOT analysis of your skills. We talked about mind mapping. We talked about SMART goals and having a journal. Then making your list of your short term, your long term. Don't forget to organize and categorize your goals by subject. Don't forget to prioritize order of importance. What's the most important thing I need to do now? And then setting a timeline and sticking to that deadline with the timeline that you set. So when we think of finding the right resources, make a list of what you need, right? Do you have mentors? If you don't, look for mentors. Do you have sponsors? Sponsors are people that can open doors of opportunities for you. They can refer you to a project, a job, right? They can write a letter of recommendation for you that could lead to another opportunity. Are there certain skill sets that you just don't have that you really need to develop? I mentioned before, soft skills or power skills. So this includes your public speaking, your time management, your leadership, your ability to collaborate. And there's tons of articles where employers are actually complaining, saying that we have a lot of people coming with those technical hard skills, and it's great, but we don't have enough people who understand the value of soft skills, and therefore they're lacking in interpersonal. If they need to close deals, they can't. They're lacking in sales skills because they didn't take time to develop the soft skills. So always use that as a continuous ongoing learning for just your own professional development so you can maintain a competitive edge. And then, do you have the right finances? Do you need a second job, a part-time job? Do you need to do crowdfunding? So when I think about my book, I didn't do crowdfunding, but there's people who do crowdfunding to cover the cost of their book. I just put aside funds to help me cover the cost of publishing. I also charged a fee for my launch. So there's different strategies you can use to cover the cost of your book. And then having a supportive network, right? So having the right personal network where people are supportive and would cheer you on is a part of the right resources that you need, right? And think of how you can expand your network, you expand people who can come in as mentors by doing informational interviews, by going out into the community and relationship building. And so you want to also develop a accountability framework. Who will ensure you accomplish your goals? The best person to hold yourself accountable is you. Start with you, right? Hold yourself accountable, make commitments to yourself, make your own mandate to yourself that you will get this done. You have friends that can hold you accountable or mentors that can hold you accountable. And this quote says, "It always seems impossible until it's done." And lastly, you want to measure your progress. So keep track of your goals, literally mark off things that you're getting done. Set even reminders to remind yourself of the timeline so that you know, okay, this week there's something I'm working on that's related to my health goal, my financial goal. And then set your planning strategy. Maybe the planning strategy you started with, doing the SMART goal, that may not be working. Do some research on other planning strategies to see what's out there. You have to do what works best for you. And don't be afraid to reassess or adjust your goals. Something might seem a little bit unpractical at this time. It's okay to reassess it, adjust it, minimize it a little bit, and then revisit it, and then maybe do something at a later time. Because if you don't have the capacity, the right resources, it will be hard to reach it. And then evaluate your success. So before I talk about a little bit about my story around what I used or how I developed goal planning and use this strategy for my career as an entrepreneur, any burning questions? Okay. Hold on 1 second. I'm having a little bit of an issue. Okay, I hope everyone can hear me. Okay, let me see if there's questions. Okay, no questions, all good. Okay, awesome. These control panels are getting in my way. Okay. So in terms of goal planning for my career, like as an entrepreneur, I really believe in doing the work. So there's some people, I have a business idea. I want to run a business. Okay. Did you conduct market research? Like who's your competitor? Who else is doing what you're doing? What void are you filling in the marketplace? So even though I'm a full-time entrepreneur for the last 2 years, I started this work in 2014, to be honest, because my company, as you see in that picture, says 2016. That was one of my public speaking workshops, and shout out to people who have supported this journey, because some of you are on the call. And so I took the time to just go through books about business. I interviewed so many successful founders, entrepreneurs. I started this as a teenager. Like I would cold call people. I would go to networking events. I even interviewed the CEO of a major manufacturing car company, and he was nice enough to say yes at the time, right? So doing these kind of things and gathering your own data in an organic way, putting in the work, putting in the building blocks really helps you to carve out a solid plan. Then you can assess the current resources you have. What resources do you need? So do you need more training and development? So I did complete programs that helped me to develop my business idea. I also put aside funds. I tapped into some government funding programs. And so some of the programs that I attended gave me resources that would help me understand you need a CPA, you need a good accounting system, you need to understand the right legal framework for your business, doing research on the different types of legal framework, sole proprietorship, federally incorporated, different types of incorporation. These are the kind of things that in your planning you want to do. So for example, for this month, I'm going to focus on the important things as it pertains to a financial plan for my business or a marketing plan, and just doing your own research, but then hiring the experts where you can delegate some of these tasks to. Then developing a clear vision and mission for your company, right? Or for your career. And then created a business plan. So I went through a program many years ago that helped me to do that, and understanding a marketing strategy that works for you. So all marketing strategies don't work for everybody. You have to be clear on, are you a service-based entrepreneur, product-based entrepreneur? Would social media be good for me? Would grassroots, emailing campaigns, door-to-door, lit drop, researching what those things mean really help with helping you to get to where you want to be. And then executing your business goals, right? Adjusting your business goals. I've had to pivot. I've had to rebrand. I did that recently. And then lastly, you want to commit to growing your business. It's not easy to be an entrepreneur, and there's times where you may want to give up. So any further questions or comments based on how I applied using goal planning strategies as an entrepreneur? Feel free to use the chat. Okay, no questions? All righty. Okay, so in terms of what I do in my business, because I wear many hats, one of the services I provide is government relations, and it's a B2B model, so business to business. I do strategic planning, again, B2B, and some business development coaching for some professionals who need that support. And then, of course, workshop facilitation and design. So some people just can facilitate, but I facilitate and I design workshops. And then I do a lot of keynoting and panelists. So you're part of an organization that needs that, feel free to reach out. And then this is a photo of one of my author signings, I think one of 4, that took me a year of persistent follow-up just to get into the door of chapters. This wasn't an easy get into the door. And this is where sponsors come in, right? People who are gatekeepers that will open the door. And so I live by this quote from Dr. King that said, faith is taking the first step, even when you do not see the whole staircase. So before I wrap up with Blacks in Tech and what we do for those of you who didn't hear, is there any questions? I think I see a question from Colin. Would you suggest getting a mentor? Yes, it's really important to get a mentor. And in our last session that we had last month, where I talked about confidence building, I talked about the importance of really finding people who are where you want to be, reaching out to people who are where you want to be, asking people in your network to refer you to somebody that could perhaps be your mentor who's within your sector. Looking for mentorship programs is very helpful. So I definitely would recommend that. Someone else is asking, should one have more than one mentor? Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have more than one mentor, because each mentor can provide a different lens, a different experience, because we've all had different experience. And I think the more mentors is the better, because there's some mentors that can help you develop certain aspect of your personal life or your professional life. So people have personal coaches or they have business coaches. So now I want to talk about Blacks in Technology Foundation. So Blacks in Tech has been around since 2008, but I do want to spotlight our team, and some of our team members are on this call. So shout out to those of you from the team. So in the last couple of weeks, I put together a team of phenomenal directors and steering committee members. We got 4 people who speak French on this committee, which is amazing. People of all different backgrounds, from across Ontario, but mostly the GTA, Toronto. So Blacks in Tech has 55 chapters in 11 countries, 39 cities in the United States. We have chapters in Nigeria, Kenya, Cameroon. So shout out to the motherland, as well as France, Germany, 2 chapters in Canada. We've expanded to Australia and we are growing. So the goal of Blacks in Tech is to stomp the digital divide, to create more opportunities by for Black professionals by increasing the representation and participation of Black people in the tech industry. We provide career support, networking, and tech resources through focus activities. We have ongoing events. Events are hosted by local chapters and then the organization as a whole. And we also have an annual conference that will be hosted by Disney in Orlando, Florida in October. So feel free to just check out Blacks in Technology website. Feel free to join our network. It is exclusive to members of the Black community. So I also want all of you to save the date because Bit Toronto, which is my chapter, will be hosting our first launch. It's our virtual launch. So it's going to be June 2nd. We've confirmed speakers and they will be announced shortly. So in terms of the Pride Foundation, as you know, I do monthly career conversation. This is my second. My third conversation actually will be in June. It will be on time management, which I think is essential for all of us. I'll repeat this session in July, goal planning, just for those of you who missed it. And then I'll talk again about confidence building, which is the topic that I covered last month. And we also have something truly exciting. It is a summer concert. So I'm going to be sharing some of my poetry. As you can see on my screen, there is a great lineup of phenomenal artists who are going to be showcasing their talents, from reggae artists to gospel artists. A good friend of mine, Jamil Davis, who's also an author and he's spoken word. He'll be performing. He's from Ohio. So that is on March 7th. And I will put the links to some of these events in the chat. And so, yeah, I will put these links so that you can pre-register either for the career conversations or for the concert. And if you use my name, Stacey, you'll get a discount. And that's again, May 7th, 2 to 6 p.m. Also, feel free to subscribe to my newsletter if you haven't done so. I put a lot of nuggets and tips and resources in there when I send it out quarterly, typically, and I will put the link to that in the chat as well. So I just want to say thank you to all of you for attending tonight's session. I do have some time for a few questions because we finish at 8. So, feel free to unmute yourselves or use the chat as I begin to put links in the chat. And I'll ask Lafayette to email this resource list just so you can get these articles, some of the videos that I shared and such. So anyone have any questions? Because we have some time. I went through some stuff pretty quickly, but I try to stay on time because I know folks get busy. So I will start with putting the link for the career conversations because you can pre-register because the dates are there. And feel free to invite your network, especially youth. We are trying to target youth. Again, the session will be pre-recorded so that you can watch the replay of this again. So I just put the link for the career conversations in the chat. Let me know if you're able to access it, okay? All right, so that's in there. And then for the concert, it is virtual. And like I said, there'll be people performing from different parts of the world. So I will put that in the chat as well. It's on a Saturday. People can come and go as they please. All right, so the link for the concert's in the chat and use code Stacey with an E. So I'll put that in there. And again, any questions about, goal planning, career planning, handling challenges around, reaching your goals, because we all get setbacks. We all have challenges in life. And that's a subscription link for my newsletter. Yeah, so feel free to unmute yourself, if you have questions.
Hey, Stacey, quick question.
Hey.
It was really good.
Thank you,
Loved it.
Colin. Okay.
What happens when a person keeps, not achieving a goal? She set a goal, but you have to keep pushing it back, push it back. Do you like take it off completely, or what do you do to handle that? Because it does happen to people.
When they set a goal and they keep, is it because they procrastinate, or is there some other
It could be
challenging
that
happening?
procrastinate, or it could be, they just don't have enough resources. What do you suggest for people that happens to people?
Sometimes we have to get to the root cause of what's causing us to procrastinate, right? And that's where sometimes some self-reflection comes in. Is it environmental? Sometimes you're not in an environment that's like inspirational enough or stimulating enough to kind of make you move, right? So it's very easy for us to get complacent. So I try to surround myself with like high energy people that are go-getters, because then they're moving, so it makes me want to move. Like I don't know where I'm moving to, but I'm like, we got to move because they're moving, right? So sometimes it's who we surround ourselves with. And sometimes we just need a break from our immediate environment. I'm somebody that loves to connect with nature. And I find that connecting with nature just inspires, just ideas. It just puts me in that place, right? So I would definitely like try those type of things and do some deep reflection and self-assessment around procrastination, even doing some research or videos or books on how to like address procrastination. What is the cause of procrastination? And just kind of keep going. Like they always say, keep moving, like never stop. We always have to keep going no matter what. And it's not about making things an emergency, right? You do things when you're ready, you do things at the right time, but you have to work at it little by little. And in time, I think things do manifest. And you want to have the faith. So it's also mindset. Have the faith that things will mindset. Say positive affirmations to yourself and just do little by little, because sometimes we're too hard on ourselves to get there.
That's good. Thanks.
That helps. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyone else have questions or comments?
Oh, I just wanted to add something.
I just have
Linda.
one question.
Oh, sorry. Linda was talking, and then I'll go to you, Julie, if that's okay.
Okay, no problem.
All right. Thanks. Hi, Linda.
Oh, yeah. So I don't have a question. I just wanted to add something that I learned recently about procrastination that I think might be helpful.
Okay.
So I'm also a procrastinator. And I've learned that procrastination is it's kind of an emotional regulation problem, because usually people think that it's like being lazy or being tired, but like studies have shown that it's because of like a fear of failure or a fear of boredom. So like once you address that core problem of why you're procrastinating, then it gets a lot easier. So like for me, for example, like I wanted to do things perfectly, so I would keep procrastinating. And then once I learned to let go of that perfectionism, then I kind of let myself just do things without an expectation of things turning out a certain way.
That's really helpful and insightful, Linda. Thank you for sharing that. I can relate to that as well. And Julie, I'll turn it over to you. I think you had a question or comment.
Yes, I actually agree with what Linda said concerning the procrastination. I definitely think it's like a like emotional regulation problem. I just wanted to actually ask if you covered anything that has to do with criminal law or criminology, because I'm currently studying criminology. I was just wondering if like there's anything you covered concerning like procrastination, or if anything law related in your workshop.
No, I didn't cover specifically law related, but I did mention that being a lawyer was something that I wanted to do. So one of the things you want to make sure you connect to the legal associations, like for students, for professionals, because you want to be around the environment of people who are studying the kind of law that you want to get into. So if you're interested in criminal law and you don't have someone who's practicing criminal law as someone who's your mentor or someone you've ever reached out to, that's probably the first thing on your like goal planning list that you should make for yourself. So making a list of what are some of the professional student laws association. There's some that are specific to the to an ethnic group. Like, so if you're from the Black community, there's some specific to like the Black Lawyers Association. There's some for Black women. There's some for different other ethnic communities. So do a list of what are the existing associations that will provide you with mentorship and support. And then think about making a list of actual criminal lawyers that you look up, whether on the internet or you meet at events, and then asking them some questions related to the area of law you want to get into.
Okay, most definitely. Thank you so much. And will there be a link or like an email sent out, or you can send out an email with all the mentorships for the law for Black lawyers?
Well, there isn't a list. You just have to put it together. Like you have to put it together to find them. Because there isn't a resource list because this wasn't tailored for law students
Okay.
today. But just like I said, start with the Black Lawyer Students Association. If I could find it quickly, I'll put it in the chat before the end. But you want to start with the school you're going to, finding the Black Student Association group, because there's one for every university and then there's one for Canada.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Okay, great. I see a comment here from Alyssa. Yes, I completely agree. Networking is so helpful when trying to find out more about the career field. Feel free to use LinkedIn as well. Yes, Alyssa, thank you for sharing that tip. Anybody else have tips to share, comments to share, questions? Because we really want this to be a discussion. We're also here to learn from you because all of you have a value to add and some great insights that I'm learning from and each of us are learning from. So feel free to speak up and comment.
Oh, one thing I can add is you may want to look into getting an accountability partner. So when you're sharing your timelines, your goal settings, I find accountability partners will hold you accountable versus, you don't achieve it. So you go in the shadows, you kind of hide and you kind of feel sorry for yourself, but accountability partner will make sure you get to the finish line. That's my suggestion.
Okay, I love that. That's really good. Anybody else have anything to add? And feel free to unmute yourself and comment. Any resources and tips to share? I know some of you are aspiring lawyers, so I did find the resources. So I put one in the chat. Okay, so the Black Association of Canada, and then there's one specific to women, Black Legal Female Network. Reach out, check what they're having. If they have newsletters, subscribe. This is how you stay plugged into what's happening in the community. And this is for many sectors, right? Whether you want to be an accountant, you want to be, in tech, you really have to take the time to do your own research. Like when I wanted to go to university, I actually researched like lots of universities from the US to Canada. When I wanted to go to law school, I researched, I cold call, I went to the campuses, talked to the professors, so you have to do your own due diligence and really, there's a Jamaican saying, if you want good, you know, have to run. So that means you have to go that extra mile to show that you're really serious about achieving your goals. And those are some of the things that I did early on when I was thinking of law and certain professions. So the links are in the chat. So for those of you who want to get in the legal field, looking for mentors, there's 2 links I put in the chat that can provide you some tools and resources in that regard. So any other questions, comments about developing your career, goal planning, handling challenges? You can unmute yourself. You can use the chat. And feel free to pre-register. Like I said, I'll be back in June for the session on time management, which is a challenge for many of us.
Hey, Stacey.
Hey.
Rock here. Hi, everyone.
Oh, hey, Rock, you made it.
Yes,
I know I had to send the
did.
link last minute. I'm so, yeah.
Yes,
Thanks
but
for coming.
I was in a different meeting, so I really enjoyed everything that you said. I just didn't want to repeat.
Okay.
Usually when it comes to having that journal is really key. I'm just providing feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And usually to get more insight about self-assessment, to know yourself more, it's always good to have a few key questions that you're going to, like action items that you're going to write. Just what action gave you the most energy and the least energy,
Mm-hmm.
what made you feel inspired and what didn't, and then also what made you proud, what are actions that you've done that made you proud. And then from there, just little by little every day, just start actioning those, writing it down, having those affirmation, and also that accountable partner like Colin said,
Mm-hmm.
and so on and so forth. So that will help you a lot to learn more about yourself. And then little by little, you'll see what are your qualities, instead of, because people have tendency of always working towards looking at what's not working or what they're not great at. No, it's really highlight what you're great at and how can you even enhance it even more. And then from there, with your accountable partner, or your mentor, you're learning on how to hone your skills so that you can even learn more. For me, when it comes to the certification that I get and the diplomas and stuff, I just write a list at the beginning of the year to say, these are the items that I want to accomplish for this year. These are the certificates I want to do. And then I start tackling them little by little. As long as you take the step, don't be afraid, but take that step.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Those are great insights. So we want to start with our strengths, develop our strengths, maximize our potential. And I think these are such great insights. And thank you for sharing that, Rakea. And thanks for the plug for getting folks here as well. Anybody else have questions or comments?
Oh, one last question or comment is that if you're not good at something, a skill set, don't try to do it yourself. Maybe just delegate it to someone else, because that's what I was always falling into. I can't do certain things, so I'm trying my hardest, and then I'm wasting time, and then I feel horrible because I didn't accomplish. It's not my skill set, right? So a fish can only be a fish. It can't be like an eagle.
That's got that right.
So
you better speak on it, Colin. Yes, that's true. Thank you for sharing that. We got to delegate. And that's what good leaders do, right? Delegation is key, right? And then you can focus on bigger things when you delegate the small or the challenging task or things you're not good at. Anyone else? Comments, questions? All right, we're almost at the top of the hour. Lafayette, any final words or before we sign off here?
Sure. So yeah, I know that was a lot. That was a lot to take in. So
yeah.
But good evening, everyone. My name is Lafayette. I'm the executive director for the Pride Foundation. As always, I definitely want to thank Stacey for her expertise. I hope everyone gained something from this. One of the things that we believe in at the Pride Foundation is think positive and live positive. Now, one thing with me, and Stacey and I talk about this all the time, is life is a journey. So make sure that every day you're making a step towards that journey. It's like if you're trying to go a mile, don't try to run the mile all at once. It's a journey. Well, I'm just using a mile as an example, but if you take one step towards your journey every day, then you're consistently making progress. So that's why it's good to set goals and say, okay, today I'm going to do this. Next week, I'm going to do this. The week after, I'm going to do this, and keep working towards your goal. And just avoid negative people, stay around positive people, stay around like-minded people that want to be successful, because people's energy will rub off on you. So if you're around negative people, if you're around non-progressive or non-productive people, you're going to eventually develop that, and it's going to be harder for you to move along in your journey. So keep pushing forward. I suggest that you keep registering for the sessions that we're having. Check out thepridefoundation.org. We have a lot of great things going on as well. And I would like for y'all to be at the concert, so please get your tickets ASAP, quick, fast, and in a hurry. May 7th, 1 to 5 p.m. Central Time. There's going to be a lot of great artists from all over the world performing, a little bit of everything for everyone. So good night, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Awesome. Good night, everyone. Thanks again for coming.